It looks like someone got themselves stuck in a pickle. Let's see what we can do.
So this customer called me to say that he was in desperate need of a detail because his vehicle had actually gotten stuck in the mud. There had been a downpour rain, a road was closed, but the sign had fallen over and he didn't see it. And he went past the sign and ended up getting so stuck in the mud that he had to have his vehicle towed out. In fact, when he stepped out of the vehicle, he stepped into inches worth of mud, which you'll see in just a second. To make matters worse, this is just a rental car. He has had it for a few months, but in the past few months, the exterior has picked up some damage on the paint, and he's nervous he's not going to get a security deposit back. Now, because he doesn't own this vehicle, he's not really looking to invest a ton of money into undoing the damage. And so we came up with a solution of attempting to clean the interior to manage the mud on the inside, washing the exterior, and then spot polishing the areas where we have damage versus the entire vehicle. But for those of you that like a really good, satisfying transformation video, or maybe you're just looking for solutions to spot correct issues on your vehicle, this is going to be a fun one to watch. So let's go ahead and get started with the detail. So my rule of thumb when vacuuming is try to remove as much loose soiling as possible before you introduce moisture. And you might be thinking, she's going to extract. She always extracts. Well, with really stiff brushes and good elbow grease and a good vacuum, we were actually able to remove all of this mud without needing to extract at all. Now these pedals had crustified mud on them, so I'm actually using a carpet bone pick to pry the mud out of the intricate grooves of the gas pedal as well as the brake pedal. And then we're going to come in with a cleaner and we're going to spray, agitate, and then vacuum up any remaining liquid. And voila, we have clean pedals, mud removed, and the interior. Honestly, that's all we really needed to do. I frequently get asked by viewers or even by customers, how do you clean speakers out safely? You can introduce mild moisture to them. The trick is to suck it out or to blow it out effectively. And you don't want to saturate it with chemical, but you can see we had a lot of mud in the perforations of our speaker. We're using our detail brush to kind of agitate that mud with our liquid, and then we're going to suck it out with our vacuum. You can also blow it out. You just have to be very careful when doing that technique, but you can see we were able to very safely get everything done. So we're going to do a little math, and I know you guys think I'm lazy. This is the kind of math that I can figure out. Panel impact ratios, not so much. Ratios like this, pretty simple. We have a 5-to-1 dilution ratio. Add 5 plus 1 together, that gives you 6. Since we have 20 ounces of water here, if we want to get a 5-to-1 dilution ratio with 20 ounces of water, we're going to divide 20 by 6. That equals out to about 3.33 ounces. So to get a 5-to-1 dilution ratio, we're going to take our measuring cup here, and that should give us our 5-to-1 dilution ratio to 20 ounces of water in our pump sprayer. Hopefully, if you ever want to figure out your dilution ratio, just take your dilution, let's say it's 4-to-1, add 4 plus 1, then you would divide that by the total ounces that you have. That's how you calculate your dilution ratio. Now, I had allotted 2 hours for this appointment, and so I need products that are going to work quickly and work well. So for our foaming pre-soak, we're going to use Primus 2.0 from Labo Cosmetica. This is a high alkaline foaming pre-wash that this is going to help loosen any residual mud that might be on the paint and hopefully remove some of the staining that is on our paint as well. The customer had actually taken this through the automatic car wash twice in an effort to remove the mud himself, and while it did remove the mud off of the paint, it didn't remove the staining that was on the paint from the mud, and it didn't remove the staining that was on our tires, and it especially didn't even touch our wheel wells. And I actually think that's how he ended up with the scratches on his paint, because he said they hadn't been there before. So after removing the solid mud from our wheel wells, we're gonna foam on BDE at our 5-to-1 dilution ratio. We're gonna try to scrub our tires, remove as much of that staining from the tires, clean our wheels, and also clean our wheel wells out. This actually did loosen even more of the mud that I wasn't able to budge with just high pressure water alone. And I did notice that these tires were severely stained, that we actually needed a dedicated tire cleaner. I probably could have used BDE at its neat dilution or full strength dilution, but I had a tire cleaner on my bucket, Vonix Delete, so we ended up just using that to go after more of the staining that was on our tires from the mud. You can see just how much browning after 3 rounds of cleaning our tires we're getting. A 4th round, now we have white foam. I know now we have clean tires that when they dry, we're not going to have staining on them. So we're just going to repeat this process on the rest of our tires, wheels, and wheel wells, and then just make sure that we have removed as much of that mud as possible from the perimeter of the vehicle before we do our contact wash. So that way, if I drop anything, I'm not dropping it in the mud, and I'm also not working in a muddy environment. This is probably what took the lengthiest amount of time on the detail. After that, it was smooth sailing. Now, because the Tesla wheels were actually smaller and it really didn't allow me to get a good brush in there to clean the backside of the wheels, even though the customer had gone through the automatic car wash twice, I could see that there was still quite a bit of mud on the underbody. And I know with Teslas that we have a lot of batteries that we have to deal with, and I know people get nervous about doing that, but there's actually a plate on the bottom that this should be completely safe. But to go after all of the mud on the backside of the wheels and on our underbody, we just did a really good undercarriage wash. This is a very affordable tool that I picked up off of Amazon that just allows me to clean the undercarriages of my customers' vehicles effortlessly. For wintertime, for snow, salt removal, or even for mud, this is just a great tool to have on hand for these types of situations. And this was the worst possible day for me to wear white shoes to work. I don't know why I find this so satisfying, but when I wash a dirty vehicle, I love backing the vehicle out and seeing just how much dirt we've been able to pull off the vehicle. I haven't even touched the paint, guys. That was just from our wheel wells. But now that we've got all of our mud removed, we can do a safe contact wash. We're going to do a quick courtesy cleaning of our mat. We're going to foam on BDE at our 5:1 dilution ratio, see if this is able to remove the staining off of our mats. And then if it isn't, after it air dries, if we still have some staining, we can use a dedicated mat cleaner, but that literally takes 30 seconds. After pressure washing our door jambs, we're going to foam on our Primus 2.0 to make sure that we soften, loosen any residual dirt that is on the vehicle, as well as help break down some of the staining that's on the paint from the mud. And then because Tesla paint is so soft, we're going to use a soap that has a lot of lubrication to it. One of my favorites, Incredible Suds from DIY Detail. This will just give us a really nice, safe contact wash. Now, while we're washing it, we're also going to do a clay towel treatment to see if we can remove some of those scuff marks with our clay towel. Some superficial scratches can actually be removed with a clay towel only that you don't even need to polish. So we'll evaluate that after we rinse and dry. And because, again, we're trying to keep this appointment quick because the customer really doesn't want to have a large bill at the end of the day, we're going to use protector wax. This is a quick and easy solution to protect your paint. Simply spray it on, rinse it off. This can actually last on a vehicle for up to 5,000 miles. It's one of the best spray and rinse products that I have tested. Does not streak, does not spot on the paint. Might not be the most durable, but for quick and easy, this is one of the best.
Looks like they're still there, so we're gonna have to polish. But but we'll only spot correct because the customer doesn't own this vehicle. He's just renting it, and he doesn't want to have to pay for the security deposit.
After drying, thanks to our protector wax, you can see we have really nice gloss and shine. But we do have to do some spot correction, and because I am trying to maximize my time and efficiency, we're going to use one cut and finish from Koshemi. This is a mild polish that actually has a sealant within it. So this allows me to remove the scratches, and I don't have to follow up with a second step with our protection. I'm not going to say it's the most durable, but it should match the protection that we have with our protector wax. So basically, I can do our polish, and then I don't need to follow up with a second application of protection on those areas. This just allows me to be efficient and get the best results for my customers. For our polishing, we're using the light purple pad from 3D1 as well as the battery powered polisher from DIY Detail. This just allows me to very quickly get around the vehicle. And I did notice that the light purple pads did a decent job, but on these heavier scratches on the back, we stepped it up to our gold waffle pads from DIY Detail. This just gave us a touch more correction, but on this soft Tesla paint, finished down very nicely with this combination. And since we had spent so much time cleaning our tires, for the cherry on top, we're going to apply Guardian from Detail Co. This is their tire dressing. We're using it full strength, and you can see it does leave behind a little bit of a white slurry. If you want to knock down the finish, you can just grab a quick microfiber, level it down, and what's left behind is a perfectly beautifully dressed tire. And as I had suspected, we still had some mud staining on our floor mat, and so we're using floor mat and cargo lighter rejuvenator from McKees 37 along with our drill brush, and you can see just how much more staining we're pulling up, and we can get everything perfected so that way there is no evidence of this mishap for the customer. When he returns his rental, he should be able to get his full security deposit back. Now, from start to finish, this took me 2 hours to complete. The customer's security deposit was $500 for his rental, but the total cost plus additional fees that we had to charge for the mud removal was $310. And so he actually saved $190 by having his vehicle professionally detailed. And in 2 hours, we were able to remove any sort of residual damage from his accident, from the mud, as well as the brushes. When the customer came to pick up his vehicle later on that afternoon, he was so relieved to see that we were able to remove any sort of evidence of his mishap. And that just goes to show you, with the proper tools and chemicals, what kind of results that you can get. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe and follow bell so that way you don't miss out on any of our future details. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this transformation video, and we'll see you guys in the next detail.